If you leave that door tonight, don't bother coming back.
I am going out, Raymond, and I am not coming home tonight. Deal with it.
If you leave that door tonight, don't bother coming back. My wife laughed. It was a cold, sharp sound. She looked at me like I was a piece of trash on the bottom of her shoe. She was holding her packed suitcase. She had on her favorite red dress. It was the dress she wore when she wanted to look beautiful for someone else. I am going out, Raymond, she said. Her voice was flat. And I am not coming home tonight. Deal with it. She didn't wait for me to reply. She walked out. She slammed the heavy front door behind her. The sound echoed through our big, empty house. I stood in the hallway for a long time. My heart was beating fast. But I was not sad. I was not crying. For 3 years I had been the perfect husband. I had worked hard. I had given her everything. And for 3 years, she had treated me like a ghost. But tonight, something inside me broke. Or maybe something finally woke up. I looked at my watch. It was 8 p.m. I walked over to the front door and locked it. Then I picked up my phone. I didn't call her. I called a local locksmith. I told him it was an emergency. I told him I needed every lock on my house changed tonight. Before my wife even reached her destination, her keys were completely useless. She thought she was punishing me. She thought she would come back tomorrow and find me on my knees, begging for forgiveness. She had no idea that she had just walked out of my life forever. Before we get into the full story of how a 20-year marriage ended in a single night, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story. And please, drop a comment below and let me know where you are watching this video from. I love reading your comments and seeing where our community connects from all over the world. Now let us get back to the story. My name is Raymond. I am 54 years old. I work as an accountant. It is a quiet job. It requires patience and attention to detail. I have always been a patient man. I don't like conflict. I prefer peace. My wife's name is Brenda. We met 25 years ago. Back then, she was sweet. She was kind. We laughed a lot. We bought a beautiful home in a nice suburban neighborhood. We never had children. It just didn't happen for us. But we had each other. At least I thought we did. Things started to change about 5 years ago. Brenda started going to the gym a lot. She changed her hairstyle. She bought expensive clothes. I was happy for her at first. I thought she was just taking care of herself. I paid the bills for the new clothes. I paid for the high-end gym membership. I wanted her to be happy. But then her attitude toward me changed. She stopped looking at me when I talked. She stopped cooking dinner for us. When I cooked, she would complain that the food was bland. If I asked her how her day was, she would sigh loudly. "Why are you always suffocating me, Raymond?" she would say. I wasn't trying to suffocate her. I was just trying to be a husband. Then came the late nights. It started with 1 night a week. She said she was out with her girlfriends. Then it became 2 nights. Then 3. Whenever she came home, she smelled like expensive perfume and wine. She would walk right past me and go to sleep in the guest bedroom. I tried to talk to her many times. I asked her if she was unhappy. I asked her if there was someone else. She would always get angry. "You are paranoid, Raymond. You are insecure. You are boring. That is the real problem." Her words hurt. They cut deep. I started to believe her. I thought maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was too boring. So I tried harder. I bought her flowers. I booked weekend getaways. She canceled them. I cleaned the whole house. She didn't even notice. The turning point happened 3 months ago. I was doing the laundry. I always did the laundry on Saturdays. I picked up Brenda's designer coat. As I transferred it to the washing machine, a piece of paper fell out of the pocket. It was a receipt from a very expensive jewelry store downtown. The receipt was for a diamond bracelet. Cost $4,000. My heart sank. I checked our joint bank account on my phone. No money had been taken out. I checked my own credit cards. Nothing. Brenda didn't have a job. She hadn't worked in 10 years. I was the sole provider. If she didn't buy it, who did? And where was the bracelet? I had never seen her wear it. I went to the guest bedroom. I searched her jewelry box. The bracelet wasn't there. I checked her closet. Nothing. She was hiding it. That night, when she came home at midnight, I confronted her. I held up the receipt. "What is this, Brenda?" I asked. My voice was shaking. She didn't even blink. She snatched the receipt from my hand. "It's a gift from a friend," she said casually. "A friend?" I asked. "What kind of friend buys you a $4,000 diamond bracelet?" "A generous one," she snapped. "Unlike you. You haven't bought me anything beautiful in years." "I pay for your entire life, Brenda," I shouted. It was the first time I had raised my voice in years. "I pay for this house. I pay for your clothes. I pay for everything. And that is your job, Raymond," she said coldly. "You are the provider. That doesn't mean you own me. Stop acting like a crazy person." She walked into the guest bedroom and locked the door. After that night, the mask fell off completely. Brenda stopped pretending. She didn't care if I knew she was seeing someone else. She didn't even try to hide her phone anymore. She would sit on the couch right next to me and text for hours. She would smile at her screen. It was a smile she hadn't given me in a decade. I felt like a tenant in my own home. I was paying for a woman to live with me while she loved someone else. I tried to tell myself to leave, but 25 years is a long time. It is hard to walk away from the life you built. I kept hoping it was a phase. I kept hoping she would wake up and realize what she was throwing away. Then came today. It was a normal Tuesday. I came home from work at 5:30 p.m. The house smelled like heavy perfume. I walked into the bedroom. Brenda was packing a suitcase. She was putting her best dresses inside. "Are you going somewhere?" I asked. She didn't look at me. "Yes, I am going out." "For how long?" "I don't know," she said. Then she paused. She turned to face me. She had a cruel smile on her face. "Actually, I do know. I'm not coming home tonight, Raymond. Don't wait up for me." "Who are you going with, Brenda?" I asked. I already knew the answer, but I wanted to hear her say it. "That is none of your business," she said. "I am a grown woman. I can spend my nights wherever I want. I am tired of your rules. I am tired of this boring house. And I am tired of looking at your sad face." That was the moment. Inside my mind, a switch flipped. The sadness vanished. The guilt vanished. The patience that had defined my life for 54 years suddenly evaporated. I looked at this woman. I looked at her expensive dress, paid for by my hard work. I looked at the suitcase bought with my money. She felt no remorse. She felt no shame. She thought I was weak. She thought I would sit on the couch, cry, and wait for her to come back tomorrow morning. "If you leave that door tonight, don't bother coming back," I told her. My voice was not shaking anymore. It was steady. It was dangerous. But she didn't see the danger. She just laughed. She gave me that cold, sharp laugh. "I am going out, Raymond," she said. "And I am not coming home tonight. Deal with it." She walked past me. She didn't look back. She opened the front door, walked out, and slammed it. I stood there for 2 minutes. The silence in the house was beautiful. It was the first time in years the house felt peaceful. I walked to the window. I saw her getting into a sleek black sports car that was parked across the street. A man was driving. I couldn't see his face clearly in the dark, but he was younger than me. Brenda got in and the car sped away. I didn't cry. I smiled. I took out my phone. I searched for a 24-hour locksmith. I found one named Gary. He had great reviews. I called him. "Hello," Gary said. "Hi," I said. "I need all the locks changed on my house immediately. Front door, back door, side door, and the garage." "I can be there in 30 minutes, Gary said. "It will cost extra because it is after hours." "Money is not an issue," I told him. "Just get here fast." While I waited for Gary, I didn't sit idle. I went to the guest bedroom. I grabbed a large box of heavy-duty trash bags from the kitchen. I opened Brenda's closet. I didn't care about being neat. I ripped her clothes off the hangers. I stuffed them into the trash bags. Designer dresses, shoes, coats, everything. I went to her bathroom. I grabbed her expensive makeup, her perfumes, her skincare products. I threw them all into the bags. I went to her jewelry box. I took out everything I had bought her over the years. I left those in a small pile on the bed. But anything she had bought recently, including the paperwork for that diamond bracelet, I threw into the bags. By the time the doorbell rang, I had 10 massive trash bags sitting in the hallway. I opened the door. It was Gary the locksmith. He had a big toolbox in his hand. He looked at the trash bags in the hallway, then looked at me. He was an older man. He had seen things. He understood. Rough night? Gary asked gently. The best night of my life, I replied. Let's change those locks. Gary went to work. He was fast and professional. He removed the old deadbolts. He put in new, high-security electronic locks. He handed me a set of shiny new keys. Do you want me to program the digital code for you? Gary asked. Yes, I said. Make it a number my ex-wife will never guess. He programmed the lock. He handed me the keys and the receipt. I paid him and tipped him generously. He thanked me and wished me luck. When Gary left, it was 10 p.m. The house was secure. Brenda's keys were now just useless pieces of metal. But I wasn't done. I dragged the 10 heavy trash bags out to the garage. I loaded them into the back of my SUV. Then, I drove to a local self-storage facility. I kept a small unit there for old office files. The facility was open 24 hours a day with a key card. I drove in. I unloaded all of Brenda's bags into the storage unit. I piled them high against the wall. Then I took out a small piece of paper. I wrote the address of the storage facility on it. I also wrote the unit number and the gate code. I drove back home. I arrived at 11:30 p.m. I sat down at my kitchen table. I took a deep breath. For the first time in years, my chest didn't feel tight. I felt free. I opened my laptop. I logged into our joint bank account. There was about $12,000 in it. It was money we used for groceries and household emergencies. I transferred exactly half of it, $6,000, into my personal checking account. I didn't take it all. I am an accountant. I believe in fairness, even in anger. Next, I called the bank's automated line. I canceled Brenda's supplementary credit card. It was linked to my account. She had been using it to buy dinners for her lover. Not anymore. Finally, I wrote a note. I used a thick black marker. Brenda, your keys don't work. The credit card is canceled. Half the joint account is yours. Your clothes and personal items are at the storage unit listed below. Do not contact me. Have your lawyer call mine. Raymond. I taped the note to the outside of the front door. I also taped the key card to the storage unit right next to it. Then I went upstairs. I went to the master bedroom. I lay down in the middle of the large bed. It was quiet. It was peaceful. I fell asleep within 5 minutes. I hadn't slept that well in years. The next morning, my alarm went off at 6:30 a.m. I got up, made a fresh cup of coffee, and sat in the living room. The front door was visible from where I sat. At exactly 7:15 a.m., I heard a car pull up outside. I looked out the window. It was the same black sports car. Brenda got out of the passenger side. She looked tired. Her makeup was a bit smeared. She looked like she had been awake all night. The car drove off immediately. Brenda walked up the driveway. She reached into her purse. She pulled out her keys. I watched through the small glass pane near the top of the door. She slipped the key into the lock. She tried to turn it. It wouldn't budge. She frowned. She pulled the key out, looked at it, and tried again. She pushed harder. The key didn't turn. She began to jiggle the doorknob. It was locked tight. What the hell? I heard her mutter from outside. She tried her key one more time. She was getting angry now. She banged her fist against the wood. Raymond, she yelled. Raymond, open the door. Something is wrong with the lock. I didn't answer. I just sat on my chair, sipping my coffee. Then, she noticed the note. She stopped banging. She stepped back. I saw her eyes scan the paper taped to the door. I watched her face change. First, she looked confused. Then she looked shocked. Then, her face turned bright red with rage. She ripped the note off the door. She read it again. She looked at the storage keycard. She began to pound on the door with both fists. "Raymond, open this door right now," she screamed. Her voice was screeching. It woke up the neighborhood birds. "Are you insane? You can't lock me out of my own house. Open this door, you loser." I stood up. I walked slowly to the door. I didn't open it. I spoke through the thick wood. "The note tells you everything you need to know, Brenda," I said. My voice was calm. "You said you weren't coming home. I took you at your word. Go to the storage unit. Get your things." "Raymond, you can't do this," she shrieked. "My name is on this house." "Actually, it isn't," I reminded her. "The house was bought by my parents' inheritance before we married. The deed is in my name alone. You know that." There was a long silence on the other side of the door. She had forgotten that detail. "Raymond, please." Her voice changed. The anger was gone. Now she was trying to sound desperate. She was trying to play the victim. "It was just a mistake. I was angry last night. I didn't mean it. Let me in. Let's talk." "We are done talking, Brenda," I said. "You made your choice last night when you got into that car. You chose him. Now go live with him." "He doesn't have room for me," she blurted out. I almost laughed. So that was it. The lover didn't want a full-time roommate. He just wanted a married woman for the weekends. He didn't want the responsibility. "That is not my problem," I said. "Goodbye, Brenda." I walked away from the door. I went back to the kitchen. She screamed for another 10 minutes. She kicked the door. She threatened to call the police. I told her through the window to go ahead and call them. I told her I would show them the texts on her phone that I had photographed weeks ago. I would show them the receipt for the bracelet. Eventually, she realized I wasn't going to break. She realized the weak, boring husband she had pushed around for years was gone. She took the storage card. She walked down the driveway. She didn't have a car, so she had to walk to the main road to call a cab. She looked small. She looked defeated. An hour later, my phone started ringing. It was Brenda's mother. Her mother had always disliked me. She thought her daughter had married down. "Raymond, what is the meaning of this?" Her mother shouted into the phone. "Brenda is crying hysterically. She is at a coffee shop with her luggage. You threw her out like a dog." "Good morning, Evelyn," I said politely. "Brenda didn't tell you the whole story, did she?" "She told me you went crazy and locked her out." "Brenda has been having an affair for over a year," I said calmly. "Last night, she packed a suitcase and told me she wasn't coming home. She got into her lover's sports car. I simply helped her make her departure permanent. Her clothes are in a safe storage unit. The code is on the note she has." Evelyn went quiet. For 5 seconds, there was no sound on the line. Is that true?" Evelyn asked. Her tone had dropped. "Ask her about the $4,000 diamond bracelet," I said. "Ask her who bought it." I didn't. "Goodbye, Evelyn." I hung up the phone. She didn't call back. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. It was a text message from an unknown number. "You think you are smart, old man?" The text read. "You can't treat Brenda like that. I will come over there and show you what happens to people who mess with her." It was the boyfriend. He was trying to intimidate me. I smiled. I was an accountant. I don't get intimidated by angry texts. I get practical. I took a screenshot of the text message. I didn't reply to him. Instead, I opened my computer. I did some research. Brenda had mentioned his name once by accident a month ago. His name was Chad. He worked as a personal trainer at her gym. I looked up the gym's website. Chad's face was right there on the staff page. He looked smug. I also found his personal social media pages. He was married. He had a beautiful wife and 2 young kids. His profile picture was a family photo at the beach. He was cheating on his wife with my wife. And now he was threatening me from his cell phone. I felt a surge of energy. I called the gym. I asked to speak to the manager. "Hello, this is the manager, Mark," a voice said. "Hi, Mark," I said. "My name is Raymond. I am a longtime member of your gym. Well, my wife is. I am calling to report an issue with one of your personal trainers, Chad." What seems to be the problem, sir? Chad is using his position at your gym to pursue relationships with married clients, I said. He has been sleeping with my wife. Last night, she left our home to be with him. This morning, Chad sent me a threatening text message promising physical violence because I locked my wife out of my house. Mark gasped. Sir, that is a very serious accusation. I have the screenshots of the text message from his personal cell phone, I said. I also have the phone records showing his calls to my wife during his working hours. I am preparing to file a police report for the harassment text. I am also preparing to contact the corporate office of your gym chain. I don't think they would like to know their trainers are threatening citizens. Mark became very polite. Please, sir, don't call corporate yet. Let me investigate this. Can you email me the screenshots? I am sending them right now, I said. I sent the email. Within 30 minutes, Mark called me back. Raymond, I have reviewed the text, Mark said. It is definitely Chad's number. This behavior violates our code of conduct. We have a zero-tolerance policy for harassment and unprofessional behavior. Chad has been terminated effective immediately. Thank you, Mark, I said. I appreciate your quick action. I hung up. That was one piece of garbage taken care of. But I wasn't done with Chad. He had threatened me. He had helped destroy my marriage. He needed to understand that actions have consequences. I found his wife's social media profile. Her name was Amanda. I sent her a polite, private message. Dear Amanda, I am sorry to send you this message. You don't know me, but my name is Raymond. My wife, Brenda, has been having an affair with your husband, Chad. He was fired from the gym today because of it. Last night, my wife stayed with him. This morning, he sent me a threatening text. I think you deserve to know the truth. Here are the proofs. I attached the photos of the text, the jewelry store receipt, and the phone logs. I didn't expect a reply. I knew she would be devastated. I felt bad for her and her children, but she needed to know who she was living with. An hour later, Amanda replied. Thank you, Raymond. She wrote, I knew something was wrong. He told me he was working late nights for private clients. Thank you for opening my eyes. By that afternoon, the drama was exploding outside my quiet house. Brenda called me from a new number. I answered because I wanted to hear her voice one last time. Raymond, you monster! She screamed. She was crying hysterically. What did you do? What did you do to Chad? I didn't do anything, Brenda, I said calmly. Chad did it to himself. He lost his job, she wailed, and his wife found out. She threw him out of the house. She packed his things in garbage bags and put them on the lawn. He has nowhere to go. He blames me. He told me to stay away from him. He broke up with me, Raymond. I sat back in my chair. The irony was beautiful. Chad had been kicked out exactly like Brenda. They were perfect for each other, but now they were completely apart. Well, I said, it sounds like Chad is experiencing the consequences of his actions, just like you are. Raymond, please, she begged. She was sobbing loudly. I have no money. The credit card doesn't work. I am at a cheap motel. I can't live like this. Please let me come home. I will do anything. I will clean, I will cook, I will stop going out. Please. Brenda, I said softly, do you remember what you said to me last night? I was just mad. You said you were a grown woman and you could spend your nights wherever you wanted. I reminded her. You said you were tired of looking at my sad face. Well, my face isn't sad anymore. It is smiling. You wanted freedom, Brenda. Now you have it. Enjoy your new life. I hung up the phone. I blocked the new number. The next day, I hired a top-tier divorce lawyer. His name was Richard. He was expensive, but he was worth every penny. I sat in his office and gave him all the documentation. I gave him the bank statements, the phone logs, the receipts, and the screenshots of the text messages. Richard smiled. It was the smile of a shark that had just smelled blood in the water. Raymond, Richard said, you did everything right. By transferring exactly half of the joint account, you showed the court you are reasonable. By putting her clothes in a secure storage unit instead of throwing them on the street, You protected yourself from property damage claims. And the deed to the house is firmly in your name. This will be a very clean case for us. What about alimony? I asked. She hasn't worked in years. In our state, marital misconduct can affect alimony, Richard explained. We have clear evidence of her abandonment and her affair. Plus, she was using your funds to facilitate the affair. We will fight to ensure she gets minimal support, if any. She will get her share of the joint savings from the marriage. But that is it. The divorce process took 6 months. It was a long 6 months, but I didn't mind. Brenda tried to fight. Her lawyer tried to demand the house. They tried to demand thousands of dollars a month in alimony. But Richard was too good. Every time they made a demand, Richard presented the evidence of her behavior. He presented the text from Chad threatening me. He presented the jewelry receipt. Brenda's lifestyle crumbled quickly. Without my income, she couldn't afford her expensive clothes or her hair salons. She had to move out of the motel and rent a tiny, cramped apartment on the bad side of town. She had to get a job. She ended up working as a cashier at a local department store. Whenever she showed up for court, she looked 10 years older. The expensive clothes were gone. The arrogant smile was gone. She looked tired. She looked bitter. I, on the other hand, felt younger. I started walking every morning. I lost 15 pounds. I painted the inside of my house a bright, fresh color. I bought new furniture. The house didn't feel empty anymore. Felt peaceful. Felt like a sanctuary. Finally, the day arrived to sign the final papers. We sat in a small conference room at the courthouse. Brenda sat across from me with her lawyer. I sat with Richard. Brenda signed the paper. She slammed the pen down on the table. She looked at me with pure hatred. You ruined my life, Raymond, she hissed. 25 years, and you threw me out like trash. I looked at her. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I just felt pity. I didn't throw you out, Brenda, I said quietly. You packed your own suitcase. You walked out the door. You told me you weren't coming home. I just made sure you kept your promise. She didn't have a response for that. She stood up, grabbed her purse, and walked out of the room. Her lawyer sighed, shook Richard's hand, and followed her. Richard turned to me and smiled. It's over, Raymond. You are a free man. Thank you, Richard, I said. I walked out of the courthouse into the bright afternoon sun. The air smelled fresh. The sky was a beautiful blue. I drove home. I pulled into my driveway. I walked up to my front door. The new electronic lock gleamed in the sunlight. I entered my code. The lock clicked open. I walked into my quiet, beautiful, peaceful home. I made a cup of tea. I sat down in my favorite chair by the window. For 25 years, I had been a patient husband. I had tolerated neglect. I had tolerated disrespect. I had stayed because I was afraid of the dark, empty house. But I learned that the emptiest house is the one shared with someone who doesn't love you. Tonight I was alone. But I wasn't lonely. I was finally home.